Greetings from DMI St. John the Baptist University. So today we are continuing our international webinar, and today's concept is cash flow quadrants. So today is day 2, and Mr. Anthony Sahiraj will introduce today's presenter. So we are very thankful for everyone who has tuned in to this YouTube video. So over to you, Mr. Anthony.
Thank you, madam. Thank you very much. Good morning to all the participants. Hope this day is very good. And we are in the second day of our international skill enrichment webinar. Today, the topic, what we are going to look into is cash flow quadrants. You are all very much aware. Yesterday, we have discussed something related with the career settlement, career success, how to choose a career. Those things we have discussed. For nutshell, in nutshell, how we can say your career choice should made up of your competencies, your skills, your learning process, your interest. These are all the things which are incorporated on choosing by the way of choosing your career actually. Why we are choosing a career? Why we are going for a job? It's a very deep question actually. When we are asking this question, there is only one answer. We are in the need of money. We want to make some money. That is the purpose we people are entering ourselves for a career, for a bright career. A career which pays you minimum salary, you will be not satisfied with your career. So you people are expecting, we people are expecting, every one of our community is expecting a good salary, a good cash to make your life better one actually. So today's topic is a fantastic topic. What are all the ways, what are all the opportunities we are having in this global to earn money? What are all the cash flow quadrants available in the market? Based on your interest, based on your skill set, based on your competencies. Now you can, today end of this program, you can choose, oh, I have to choose this as my cash flow quadrant. I have to choose this as my cash flow quadrant. That is the purpose of our today's second day webinar actually. So the topic is very impressive topic, cash flow quadrants. Before I handed over the session to the chief trainer today, Mr. I'm very happy to introduce him to the forum actually. I'll just share a small screen about him. Hope you're all seeing. So, Mr. P. Grayson Tony, who is the founder CEO of 7 Atara, upcoming corporate cultured company. And this gentleman having his qualification of BSc Geology and MTech Applied Geology, young tech entrepreneur and a freelance strategy consultant, founder CEO of 7 Atara, co-founder CSO Phonicon AI, strategic alliances manager Arimugam. This gentleman is very good in his academics actually. He had offers, PhD offers from Oxford and Harvard University, but he is passionate in entrepreneurship. He is different personality, dreaming different, thinking different, aiming different. So no, he avoids such a great offers from Oxford and Harvard universities, and he now become a successful entrepreneur and doing excellent business practices. Not only with this, he is specialized in and expertise in project management and entrepreneurship. He specializes in building ecosystems, and he has worked with multilateral agencies, plenty of NGOs agencies. I know personally him for the past 15-20 years, and his involvement with various organizations making that organization transform from one level to other level. All it is highly appreciable. And he was successful in establishing the first of its kind strategic joints with companies like, these are all corporate big companies, multinational companies, My TVS, Mahindra First Choice, and VR Logistics. His specialization includes business scheming, strategizing and execution, corporate structure planning, establishment and development, strategic alliancing and positioning, value chain development, youth entrepreneurship, and establishment of producers organization. I'm very happy such a great young entrepreneur is part of our program. With this, on behalf of DMI St. John the Baptist University, Malawi, on behalf of St. Eugene University, Zambia, a wholehearted welcome to our chief trainer today, Mr. Grayson Tony. Sir, now the stage is yours, sir.
Hello all. Thanks for the detailed introduction, Mr. Anthony. It gives me so much pleasure to be here with you all on a fine morning. Uh, and I'm actually very happy to share my views with students of a country like Malawi and Zambia. Like, I really appreciate the way ahead which you have. Uh, Muliguanji guys, I am actually looking forward for an interactive session, and please check in your comments so for me to respond to you right away. And uh, so to start with, I'll start off with sharing my screen, like the presentation with regards to cash flow quadrants. I think that will be a good tool. So yeah. So what is all about cash flow quadrants? So it's all about yourself and money. So this whole session is going to be about yourself and money on the whole. In a nutshell, that's all about it. Let's split the words in the topic: cash flow quadrants. So it's like we are going to plot it on a graph, the cash flow, the income, your expenditures, everything will be plotted onto a graph. So each quadrant will display its own characters, and you will be able to position yourself in a quadrant at the end of the day. Right. I did go through a bit of Malawi. I'm pretty impressed about the whole happening in Malawi. Like, I read about Peter Isu and the Great Lake of Malawi and the landlocked setup of Malawi. And I was so happy to know that technologically you guys are doing way ahead than your contemporary peer companies and peer countries. So this all shows that you have all the possible potential to position yourself in a better way than you are now. So let's get started. So before I get in deep into the topic, I wish to talk a bit about yourself. This is going to be totally about yourself first before we get into the money part of you. So when it comes to an individual is basically made of two things. One will be his hobby and another will be his passion. So how do you get to differentiate between your hobby and passion? This is the basic question which will turn out to you. Like most people, we don't think about differentiating these two heads, but it is very essential to differentiate these two heads in order to position yourself, to have clarity of your ideas, and to see what's ahead of you, and to make your choices. So let's get in deeper into hobby. Hobby is something that entertains you, that engages you, that makes you happy. But it's not on your mind all the time. So we have to be clear about that. Like when it comes to a hobby, for instance, take for instance me. Uh, I love to play guitar. I can sing, but it's not like I can do all the time. I can do it all the time. Like it gives me a sense of fun and it gives me a sense of engagement and entertainment. But when it comes to having it in mind all the time, it doesn't work that way. And next in head, we have satisfaction and pleasure. It does give satisfaction and pleasure, but I don't ponder over it all the time. Like it gives me a sense of satisfaction and pleasure momentarily. For instance, if I'm going to play guitar for a while, I'll be able to hum the same song over and over for max of 10 minutes. But later on, it vanishes. The next song comes in place, or we'll have something else to do. And number three, does it ensure your living? Uh, if hobby ensures your living, it moves to passion. So if it's like when it's going to be a hobby, it does not ensure your living. Like you don't make any money out of it. It doesn't satisfy your dependents. It doesn't satisfy your own needs, like your own expenses. Then it should be something that should only be done in your leisure time. So that's all about hobby. But when it comes to passion, it'll hardly let you sleep. Like for instance, if there is a thought of yours, like in some case, few people they'll not be able to sleep if they get the if they are thinking about technology, or if they are going to think about maybe it can be fishes, or if even if there is a thing like singing or music, if it doesn't let you sleep and keep at it all the time, and gives you a sense of satisfaction and pleasure for a real long time, and if it is going to be giving you enough money for your living, then it falls in your passion. And hobby and passion, it's like it might seem to you like you'll be having a number of hobbies, you'll be having a number of passions to deal with, but if you are able to classify these two on these basic criteria like sense of satisfaction and pleasure, uh, if like the time it is on your mind, if the it ensures your living, that like if you're going to have a checklist of these criteria with regards to hobby and passion, you will really have a clear cut idea to differentiate between your hobby and passion. So you might actually think like why I'm talking about hobby and passion in when the topic is cash flow quadrant. So passion is something that will decide your cash flow quadrants. The basic criteria to enable yourself to position yourself in the cash flow quadrant is passion. It's as simple as that. Right. I hope I made you clear with regards to hobby and passion. Now let me take you to the next step of things. Right. Job and career. I think you had a clear cut presentation yesterday by Mr. Anthony. But I wish to give you a picture of difference between job and career, and why is it important. So when it comes to job, uh, it's like you will be doing something only for the sake of money. It's like there'll not be any passion involved. There'll not be any kind of pleasure and satisfaction involved. You will be doing it just for the sake of money to meet all your needs, and more often it will be your step one pursuit of your career life. Like you'll be starting off with a job. Like take for instance myself. By by academic qualification, I'm a geologist, but I'm into entrepreneurship. So you might think like, why is this guy into entrepreneurship? And why is this guy my profession as geologist is into entrepreneurship? The thing is that I started off as a geologist. Like to start with, I entered a company as a geological advisor and an auditor. But later on, like I spent time for myself. I could plot my passions. I could make out that this is not going to be there forever, and this is not going to give me a sense of satisfaction and pleasure. So I had to decide on what's going to be my career. So this is quite common with all your friends. Like this is very common in students of college. Uh, and more often the students, they'll be like, how do I get to know what's the difference between like how do I know which is my career and which is my job? So the first thing you have to do is spend time for yourself. All you have to do is spend time for yourself, and you have to have a clearer picture of liking something or just doing it for the sake of money. If you are in a job and if you're starting to like it, and it gives you a sense of satisfaction, then pursuing it as a career is very essential. So I think I made you clear with the difference between job and career. And when it comes to pursuing it, job is like it can be momentary. For instance, you can do a job for 2 years. If it doesn't give you a sense of satisfaction, you can actually leave it. But playing its part is also essential. But when it comes to career, the more you explore it, it will interest you the more. It interests you the most. Like every time you learn something about the particular passion and about the particular career, you will be interested for knowing more. So this is something that will enable you to get ahead with the career. I think I gave you a clearer picture of job and career. Now, let's get to career. Like we should be able to understand what career, inclusive of passion, inclusive of your living needs. So, right. Uh, all what I'm talking about is about you, like you at the center and everything else around you, like you and your passion, you and your living, and you. It also includes you and your dependents. That is your family. Very often the youngsters, what they do is that they actually think they are passionate about something. For instance, I know a friend of mine who was very passionate about dancing, and he was pursuing dancing not even knowing that he's not able to make a living for himself. Like he was totally dependent on his parents, and the thing now is that he's not able to explore it as a career. And the worst part is he's pursuing and trying to understand his career now. So this mistake is being done by most youngsters, but it is never too late to differentiate between that. All you have to do is you should ensure that it should meet your needs. Like if it is going to be your daily needs of paying your rent, or it can be a daily need of having a food for you, shelter, and not only you includes you and your dependents. The whole family should be satisfied with what you're doing. Like you should be able to support them as well. So when it comes to a career, you should make sure that it is your passion. Uh, it's like to ensure that it's your passion, you should be able to differentiate with on the basis of the criteria which I listed already. It shouldn't let you sleep. It should give you a sense of satisfaction and pleasure, long lasting. And next is it should get you a living. And getting you a living, it doesn't mean like living for you alone, getting a studio room in a city just for you to live, but it should satisfy all your dependents needs needs as well. So dependents, I mean the family and friends who are totally dependent on you. I hope I made it all clear. Now let's get to the crucial point of the topic, cash flow quadrants. So, I think most of you guys here would already have an idea about what this topic is about. Uh, it's about cash flow, and you with you at the center. Like it'll be everything about you and the money that is involved in you. So to start with, I'll be having the first in the list, that is a job. So when it comes to a job, like most of you might think it's like most of you will be in your final year, or you will be in second and third year of your college. Uh, your primary focus would be to get a job, to get some money, to fulfill you and your dependents' needs. So the point is actually crucial. I totally abide by whatever point is within this getting a job. Uh, but and also I totally agree that this is the step one and that is to be taken when it comes to a student. When it comes to a job, like you might think, should I consider my passion as a priority? Should I consider my hobby as a priority? Should I consider my living as a priority when it comes to a job? Uh, to be exact, when it comes to a job, your primary priority will be a living. Like once you're done with college, you should be on your own, number one. So being on your own, you should be able to satisfy your needs, and you will be having responsibilities to deal with. That is your dependence. So to meet all this, you should be having a job. And some might think like, if it is going to be a job, then how is it going to be with the other partners? Like for instance, we have the other quadrant lists as self-employed, business owners, and investors. So one might think like, how can I eventually get there? So to start with, becoming an employee, uh, you still will have time for yourself. Although you'll be working for someone else's team, you'll still be having time for yourself. You will be able to explore what your real passion is, what you are capable of, what your real skill set is. In your 4 years of college, you will be exposed to a lot of things, including academics, uh, excluding academics. Like you will be getting to know a lot of people, you will be able to network with them, you will be experiencing a lot of things. Experience teaches you a lot. But overall, at the end of the day, if you're able to decide between these four quadrants, uh, you will be in a better position to decide on things. But to start with, if you're not clear with all the above things, like if you're not clear with your passion, if you're not clear with like other things that will be able to enable you to do a self-employed thing or a business owner thing, then you should get employed. That is the first step. And when it comes to becoming an employee, like when it comes to working for someone, the primary focus will be time. The time you offered for them is totally money. So it's like a company will invest on you only for the time you provide with them and the laurels which you bring for the company. So when it comes to working for something, you will be working only for the sake of money. And next in line, we have self-employed. So even here, the priority is going to be time and money, but you will be your own, like you will be your own boss. Like you will be doing everything for yourself and for the money making of for making money as well. So when it comes to self-employed things, there are people who are YouTubers who start off with just them and their mobile phones. So even in this case, they are not going to invest anything on it. They are not going to determine their passion. But in some case, when it comes to self-employed, they'll be in a position to determine their passion. So like they'll be on their own. They'll be spending time on themselves, which will convert into money. And every time they'll be ensuring that they are able to make a living out of it. So the basic criteria for getting into all these quadrants will be ensuring that you get money out of something, because satisfying yourself is the best thing to do before you go on to satisfy others, right? So next in line, we have business owners. So what's it about business owners? Like, how do you eventually get there? Is it fine if I get there straight away, or is it like I have to take a track before I enter to become a business owner? When it comes to something like this, you might have all these kind of questions, and like usually the route is like an employee eventually becomes a business owner, self-employed eventually becomes a business owner, and like what actually takes them there is I'll deal with that in the successive slides. So business owner is someone who will be engaging a lot of people for his own vision. When it comes to an employee, he doesn't have a vision. He is working for someone else's vision, the vision that results from a passion. And when it comes to self-employed, he has a vision, and he is the only one who's going to believe in that, and he is going to spend all his time working on it, and working on it, he'll be making money out of it. And the next in line is business owner. He's having a vision. He's able to convince people with the same vision he has, and he's able to engage a lot of people who can work for his vision. By that we mean other people's time is going to become your money. So consider you you're working for 10 hours a day, and like working for 10 hours a day is going to get you some $1,000. Consider a business owner. He'll be having some 10 people who are going to work 10 hours a day. So it's going to be 100 hours of time in a day, which is highly impossible when it comes to a employee or a self-employed person. But when it comes to a business owner, you have this perk of having so many people work for a particular vision, and you will eventually get ahead with your passion. And what happens is that the conversion rate with regards to the time over to the money will be really high. So, like you might think that why I'm mentioning money all the time. So we should actually be having a track of your progress, and in the current trend, in the overall trend world over, the progress is always tracked economically. The economic success of an individual is actually becoming a priority. But you might think, like, is that going to be the only criteria? You might have other criteria as well. Like in some case, satisfaction might become your criteria, or sense of popularity might become your. Like you might be happy when you're actually popular among people. So when it comes to a film star, he actually gets satisfied if he is going to satisfy a number of people. So in that case, money is not the only priority. Like he'll be having money and also people. And in some case, when it comes to driver, like or a person who's owning a fleet of taxis, his satisfaction is the satisfaction of the customers. So uh, when you eventually get to the business owner thing, you will actually be having a system, and a system with different hierarchies, different people, and different people's time, and different people's expertise, and different people's contribution in a number of ways. And all this put together will contribute to your passion and vision. So it's totally clear, I guess. Like when it comes to employee, you're going to work for someone's vision. It just might happen that you have a part of your vision that is working towards a common cause. And when it comes to self-employed, you are having a clear-cut vision, you're having a clear-cut passion, but you are the only person who is convinced to work on it, and you are the only person available to work on it. And next in line, you have the business owner. You have a number of people who are working for your vision, and by this, we are clear that the rate at which you will be exploring your passion, the rate at which you will be reaching heights, will be way ahead when it comes to the business owner. Now, next in line, we have investor. So, what's about investors? Uh, More often, investors, they are either self-made or like, who are investors? Investors are people. Basically, like in this presentation, I have displayed you money, but in some case, there are investors who invest their time, who invest their brain, who invest their resource. Resource, I mean, it can actually mean other equipments and infrastructure as well. So, how do you eventually get there? The all the or like people in all the three quadrants, like the people in the employee quadrant, the people in the self-employed quadrant, and the people in the business owner quadrant, they eventually get to become an investor in something, in some way. But your scale of investment in something really matters. Uh, I think you yourself can give an answer of the scale of investments. Like the high scale of investments will mostly come from a business owner, and the investments, like when it comes to an employee, the scale of investments will be like buying a house for himself, buying a car for himself, or buying assets like gold. or it's like buying bonds in a bank, or investing in a mutual fund. Similarly, when it comes to a self-employed person, his kind of investments will be more similar to an employee. But when it comes to a business owner, he'll be going on far and beyond. Like, he'll not limit himself to just real estate or just assets that are immovable, movable, but he'll be going on to invest in other businesses. Like, the kind of investments will include investing on startups, investing on other entrepreneurs, investing on other companies' top executive level expertise. So all these kind of investments will come in from a business owner. And there will be an additional class who are not self-made billionaires but who can still invest. Those are the people who will be inheriting something from their parents. So these people, they'll not actually fall in any of these quadrants, but they'll be indigenous investors. Now let's have a look at the population of people who are in the different set of quadrants we have here now. Right. So, if you take the case of investors, like 5% of the population owns 95% of the wealth. To be exact, by 2020, it's around 97%. Like, the ownership of wealth has become even more. And the thing is that the population size of the business owners owning this much wealth has also increased. And when it comes to the rest of it, the self-employed and the employed category, you only have 5% of the wealth. Like, 95% of the population has only 5% of the wealth. I'll give you a picture of how this actually works. Consider your 100, like 100 of you giving 1 rupee each to one friend of yours. He'll be having 100 rupees in hand, and he'll be falling in the business owner category, and you will be paying him 1 rupee for some service or some product which he provides you with. And secondly, to start off with, he'll be self-employed, like he is doing things on his own. And next on, what he'll do is he'll have someone work for him, like market the particular product. So he'll be having employees, and when he gets to the employee category, he'll be moving to the business owner category. And eventually, when he is done with making a lot of money from the 100 of you, he'll be going on to invest in some other business in order to make more money. So that way, if you see the 100 of you, like, it's like 95% of the population, like it's more than 95%, 99% of the population, and it's just him that is becoming a business owner. So only 1% is 1% of the population is in the business owner category. And if you see clearly, he is having 95%, like 99% of your wealth, while you're having only 1% of the total wealth in comparison to his. So that's all about the cash flow quadrants. Now let's get into the other details. Like, why to start off with employee? Like, why? What is all about the cash flow quadrant of employee? Uh, Most of the people, they remain in this, like, most population, like maximum population will be in this category. They are in this category for the sake of security. So it's like, if someone wishes to remain in this particular quadrant, uh, their basic criteria will be security, like job security and safety. Like, they'll hardly be interested in risks. It's like, I'm okay with the money I have, the money I earn. Uh, uh, in some cases, it might become their passion. In some cases, it's like, I can give up on my passion. I can my passions can become hobbyistic passions. Like, I don't want to make any money out of my passion. I'll just have it for fun, and I'll be working all the time. I'll be making money out of it. I'll be spending all the money, and I'll be doing things out of it. So, we have it listed in three criteria. One is I want a secure job with benefits. They'll be happy with the PF benefits. They'll be happy with the incentives provided by the company, and they'll be happy with the progress they attain in the particular company, and they'll be happy with the increments and the promotions they get there, and their max level of reaching out for more money will be the overtime thing, or working on getting a better promotion. So it's like, if I work for 2 more hours, how much money could I make from the particular job? That will be the only level of making more money. And like, when it comes to them, they are in short, their life will be focused at becoming and being content. Like, I wish to remain content. I wish to remain secure, a sense of security in means of my mindset and with regards to my living and all its dependents. So that's all about employees, and this becomes their priority. Like the paid holidays they get becomes a priority in that case. And next in line, when it comes to self-employed and small businesses. So why an individual prefers to become self-employed, or why does he move from becoming employed to becoming self-employed, or why he chooses a path of self-employment? He wishes to remain independent. That is the basic. This will be the step one in becoming something completely free. Like, you wish to have a sense of freedom. Like, you wish to have your own rules, have your own time of working. Like, you wish to explore your own ways of thinking, your own perspectives of things. So when it comes to independence, you go ahead with self-employed. And more often, all the business owners, when it comes to self-made billionaires, not inherited billionaires, I'm self-made billionaires, they start off with this step of the quadrant. It's like they initially become self-employed. They start off with a small business. They start off with just themselves, like it will only include them, and they'll be getting ahead, progressing with regards to their passion, and independence will be their basic criteria to enter this particular quadrant. And next in line, like if you see both the quadrants, like employed or the self-employed quadrant, whenever they think of a mission, like they consider they have become independent already, they have a set of they are passionate about something, or if they are once they are passionate about something, they'll be setting up a system, or scheming a system. Like, they'll be starting off with planning a system where they wish to reach a passionate goal, which will not be attained with them alone, but it will include more of them, and and a team which is essential, they think. So once they get to that point of their thoughts, it's like, initially they might become employed. They'll be like, I have people and I have time, and I have a little money, and I wish to start on a mission. They'll be eventually getting to the business owner quadrant. And the when like getting to a business owner quadrant, they'll be having more criteria to set before them. Like, the criteria they'll be setting before them is, they should be having the basic resources. Like, they should be having time, they should be having money, they should be having people. So, and like, even if they don't have people, they should be having money and time in order to offer for setting up a mission and setting up a system. So when it comes to this particular quadrant, like I discussed in the employee quadrant, there will be sense of risk in the particular quadrant. Like, we'll not have security of job. Like, we'll be trying to be on our own. It's like we'll be aiming on trying out new things, risking lives of not only ours, but also our dependents. So very often these business owners, they'll actually be doing it all calculatively. Like, they'll be having an idea about the time they have. They'll be setting a time frame. Like, for instance, in some cases the business owners might actually plan on 2 years. I'll be trying a business for 2 years. If it works out, if it progresses in these 2 years, if I'm going to get all the resource I'm looking for, if I'm going to work on progressing towards the mission I'm looking forward to, I'll be getting ahead with this, or else I'll drop off. This like when it comes to time, this might be the criteria. And when it comes to the second resource, which is a priority, money. uh, uh, like before money, I would actually talk about people, because people is also a criteria. And it's like he might have people in his own network, friends of his family itself, or he might have come across with someone from the social networks, like be it on Facebook or LinkedIn. He'll be able to network with them, and both might have a similar vision, both might have a similar passion, both might have a similar goal. So eventually they'll be getting on to work together. In some cases, the business owners, they might not have people to work on it. They might have only money to work on sales. So the third resource comes in line. So when it comes to the third resource, uh, very often we'll be having very limited access to the third resource unless our father is a billionaire or a millionaire, or at least he has enough money to start with, or he has a small business which we can improvise. So these are the conditions. But I'll not prioritize the case of money because it's not very essential, in at least in our current era. And all this time I was talking only about right. 1 second, I'll take you to the right. And last in line, we have an additional resource, that is technology. We are in an era of technology, so this actually gives us an advantage. It's like being all on our own before this technology era was pretty tough, to be exact, and networking with people was pretty tough. Like we hardly had modes to get to know people with a similar vision or a vision. But here and now, if you go on LinkedIn, or if you go on Facebook, Instagram, or if you question on Quora, you might have like-minded people commenting on your purpose which you post, or you might have a group of people working on a common cause, who will also be clustered on a particular page in Facebook. Like these days, technology is enabling you to have access to the above three resources, that is time, money, and people, in a better way. So I'd like to add technology as a resource as well. So next in line, we have investors. So investors is purely money. Like more often, investors, they'll not have time. They'll not have a lot of people to do things. Uh, they'll not even know how technology works. But all they have is money. So with money, they'll be having a sense of freedom, number one. And number two is they'll be able to have all the above three resources. Like they'll be able to get people work on something. They'll be able to have other people's time, not theirs. They'll be able to have technology work for them, all through money. So investors, they'll be exploiting all the above three resources, only through the resource they have, that is money. And now uh, I'm getting to I'm actually interested in giving you an example of how your natives, like the people of Africa, have progressed over a period of time, considering their passion, considering their livelihood, considering their job. Like I wish to position a entrepreneur in the whole chain of things which I explained you now. So when it comes to Tim Hawkins, I was very much impressed by his profile. Like he's a billionaire in the making. He is already a billionaire, and he has foreign direct investments in number of ways. Like he has investments from the US, he has investments from China, whatnot. So let's see how he started it all. Tim Hawkins was a person who did not even have his college education. The highest level of education he could reach was school education, the higher secondary level of school education. He matriculated from school, but he was passionate about gymming and outdoor parks and outdoor games and stuff. But to start off, he wanted a living. He wanted money to satisfy his own needs. Like he wanted to eat, he wanted to have a place to live, and he also wanted to like he had to satisfy his family members as well. So the first of weird jobs he started off was being a security guard. Like it might sound weird, like people working as a security guard, being passionate, but when it comes to pursuing a passion, working is all that matters. Like what you are, or what position you are in, which company you are working for, all that doesn't matter. Every job, everything, and every step of a job has its own learnings. Like you will be having a lot of experience in a single job that will actually nurture your passion, and it will enable you to pursue your career better. So he started off as a security guard, and he actually wanted to progress next because he could only satisfy his own needs with the money he made out of becoming a security guard. So the next in line he could have access was he could learn COBOL from a local institute of information technology. So he learned programming, and he started working for a IT company. And once he started working for an IT company, he had access to two major resources, that is time and also money, and also people. Sorry, time was not his primary resource that was available. He had access to people and also money. Like he was making an earning that could actually satisfy his own needs and his dependents' needs, and he had something to save. So with the money he saved, he actually gained a sense of security. For the calculative risk, he was planning ahead. So right, like when he reached a point, like he was working as a programmer for close to 2 to 3 years, and once he reached a point, like I have enough money, and I am kind of guessing that my company owners might as well be interested in my passion. So what he did was he pitched to the people of his own company, like he pitched to the CEOs of his own company. So once he pitched, uh, he was actually expecting a positive response, hoping that they would they would understand his passion and his focus. But it's like the IT company owners, they were not in a position to really have time for him, and their passion was different. They had to switch tracks, and all they could tell him was, "This is not a cup of tea, but will not keep you from pursuing it." Even if other way around, like Tim Hoggins, if he was stopped from pursuing his own passions, like if the company stopped him from doing that, I'm sure he would have find time on his own to pursue his passion. And eventually what he did was he started networking. He found ways to ensure the resources like money, people. He started networking with people who are working on a similar interest. Like he had things networked online, offline. He went and met with people, and eventually his first outdoor gym, the green outdoor gyms, the first unit of his was established. And once it got established, uh, like as per his focus and his calculative risk, he had like best of results from the particular gym which he established. So no sooner that happened, a lot of investors reached out to him, and now he had access to a lot of resource. Like he could initially have access to money, and with money he could have people work for him. And once he had access to money and people, he had the time of his and also the time of the others, and he got all of it work for his passion. And now he has reached the position of a billionaire. And now you might think, like, he has reached a point in his passion. Is that all? Like he's done with his goals, or is it going to be something more which is which he is going to pursue upon? So when it comes to Tim Hoggins, I'm taking the example. His passion is not done. His passion is not about just setting up green outdoor gyms, not only about earning billions, but the passion he had initially will actually evolve. So every time you are passionate about something, you will have something evolving in you. That is all about your thoughts. Like you will be giving it a thought, you will be evolving the particular idea, you will be having complementary ideas that will support the particular idea that you will start with. So eventually, what you will get at is you will be having a number of passionate passions that will result from an individual passion, and you will be pursuing it, and till you breathe your last, you will be at totally towards exploring your passion, and eventually getting an investor. So if you see here on top of the line, we have him work as an employee. He had no I'm sure that this passion of establishing an outdoor gym is no way related to working as a security guard, and his passion of setting up green outdoor gyms is no way related to being a programmer. But he blindly had to work on something because he needed money to satisfy himself, and that is all about a job. And now he was not self-employed. He skipped this part of the quadrant. Next in line, he went on to become a business owner. Uh, he established green outdoor gyms, and now that is the point where he started his own career. Like he had a point where his passion and his resources meet, and he started off on all his own, and he became a business owner. And now, last in line, the investor in Tim Hoggins. Uh, like he is also an investor. He has a number of garage programs going on. He is investing on startup entrepreneurs. He is in connect with a number of universities, and he is working on complementary things that will support green outdoor gyms. And these garage programs will actually support ideas that will work, support, and complement his passion best. And next in line, I would like to talk about Mark Angel. To give you a picture, uh, in the previous case of Tim Hoggins, he was not self-employed, but he was employed. But in case of Mark Angel, he was not employed, but he was self-employed. All right. Most of you might know Mark Angel and his famous YouTube channel, the Mark Angel Comedy and the Mechanic Comedy of Mark Angel. Uh, I'm sure you also digged in a bit deep about his background. He actually wanted to be a doctor, and like not he as in his family wanted him to become a doctor, and he started pursuing medicine in college in Africa, and like while he was in second year, I guess, his sponsor died off, and that's the point when he had to pursue his like he actually had a setup, an environment in which he could explore his passion. So eventually he could make out that his passion was cinematography. So in order to satisfy his passion, all he did was he did a course in cinematography with all his savings. That is a risk he took. Like he had savings with him. He could have invested the savings in something like something else. Like he could have invested that in real estate, or he could have invested that in buying a bike for himself, or buying a car for himself, or he could have invested it in anything of his choice. Like it could have been an entertainment as well. Like he could have gone on a world trip, but he wanted to invest that in his own passion, that is cinematography, and he learned cinematography from India, and he found the niche point with regards to Africa through YouTube channel, and to start off, he started all on his own. Like all he had was just him and the YouTube channel. When it comes to YouTube channel, here the resource that plays a priority is technology. So technology plays a pivotal role when it comes to Mark Angel. If there was no YouTube, he would have had it like he would have found it difficult, or he would have not even reached of whatever he is now. So he started off all on his own. He was self-employed with a YouTube channel. He initially could make some money out of the YouTube channel, and eventually he could make more money out of it. He had a lot of people work for him, and now he owns a production company. And when it comes to the production company, he's actually involved in creating content through his production company. So here, if you see, we don't have enough information when it comes to job. He started off straight with his passion. It all happened because his sponsor died halfway. So there will be some point in time in your life where you will be having an environment where you will be forced to explore your passion, where you will be forced to explore your resource, and you will be forced to link both, and you will be forced to explore the possibilities of finding a living. So these things will eventually get in pursuing your passion better. And now, uh, this is all I discussed about. All this while, if you see in the cash flow quadrant, technology was not listed as a resource. But we being in the technology era, we have an advantage of the technology. Like for instance, if you take the people of the 20th century, they hardly had access to technology. They hardly had access to news. They hardly had information about the world happenings. But if you take the case of the people we have now, we have it all at our fingertip. I'm sure, like most people here, you will be having a smartphone or a laptop with an internet connection, and you have 4G in Malawi. So getting access to information has become simpler as that. And all the other resource like time we do have, and people and money is all the four resources you need. And above all, the driving force is your passion. And the step one you should be taking towards that is the time you spend for yourself. Next. Right. I actually wish to uh, like uh, uh, prioritize the college environment. That is actually a perfect environment for you to explore things. Because I'm like I graduated in 2016, and I seriously regret because I wasted my college time. It's like I had access to a lot of people. I had loads of friends who could work on something I had my goal as, and I had loads of access to technology. Like we had labs, uh, and I had loads of access to time. It's like we had loads and loads of free time. But all I did was I actually spent time on enjoying. It's like I was hardly aware of the passion and spoke about the resource we had. But you people, you people at St. John the Baptist University and St. Eugene University, the advantage you have now is I'm able to suggest you, and you can take this suggestion. You have enough time, like you have a lot of friends who can network with, who you can network with. You have access to technology. You will be having a laptop, or you will be having a mobile, or you will be having a computer lab which you can make use of. So you might think, why am I giving so much stress in the college? So I'll give you a few examples that turned out from the college. This is a famous example of Google. Most of you people might be aware of the founders, Larry Page and Sergey Brin, and I'm sure that all the people here are using Google and all the products of Google. Like if you are using a smartphone, you are using Google. If you are using internet, you are using Google. Uh, Whatnot. They have penetrated into almost anything and everything, and almost every app you use, including StreamYard or whatever it is, YouTube, it's again Google's. So how did it all start? Larry Page and Sergey Brin, they were actually PhD mates. They shared a room in a dorm. They shared a room in the hostel, and all they could do was think over the particular PhD project they worked on. It's like they started off exploring an algorithm to solve the number problem in algebra, and eventually what they ended up was they had a number of subproducts within the particular deal of process that took them from building an algorithm for finding the number problem in algebra. So one of the subproduct was Google. They came out with a search engine idea. That was their basic idea, and they had to build on it. And once they came up with a basic idea, they actually launched their project. And all this happened while they were still in college. So, like, let's discuss about the resource they had. When it comes to time, they had access to time. They had access. Sorry, they had enough time to work on the particular idea because it happened to be their PhD project. When it comes to money, they had no access to money. The highest of money access they could have was the PhD stipend they would have got. That would have hardly met their shelter and food needs. And when it came to people, they had access to people. So the kind of people access they had was their peer groups, their friends who came from different backgrounds or who came from the computer background itself, and they had access to people who are experts in specific fields. For instance, the algorithm for the number problem in algebra, if you take, they had access to almost every professor in the world, being in a premier university. And apart from that, they also could have access to technology. They all they had was a laptop. They had a system. They had time to code, and they came out with the pioneer idea of Google. And what all they did was they made use of all these resources. So the crucial point lies in making use of the resource in something you are setting as your goal, or not using it for that. Next in line, we have another famous example, uh, the technology moguls of Facebook. Even these people were roommates, and these people had a similar situation. These people were studying information technology in the university, and they actually started off Facebook for fun. It was started off as a college project that was not even a project, it was a mini project which they actually tried on, which actually turned out to be fun, and eventually they came out with a product like Facebook. So again, here if you see, they had time, and being four in number, they had four people's time in a day, and they had no access to money. They had access to people, they four themselves, and also their peer group friends, and also the professors who are linked with a particular university, who were able to support them. And last but not the least, the technology. They had access to machines on which they could code, and eventually they came out with a product which they never thought will turn out to be a success. Now let's get to you, St. John Baptist University, as a student. Let's assume your case. And let's consider that, let's check all the resources, the basic resources you have. You are having time. uh, it's like you will be having classes during the day. Post classes you will be having a minimum of 3 to 4 hours which you can afford. So that time is more than enough to spend on yourself. And secondly, money. Will not have much access to money. People, you will be having access to a lot of people. It's like you will be having people from different different backgrounds. Like you will be here, I'm sure you will be having different departments, and your friends in the same friends in different departments. You can work on cross major things, or you will be having like-minded people within your class itself, but you wouldn't have explored that, you wouldn't have spent time on that. And last but not the least, again, you will be having access to laboratories and also library. So it's like if you and also again you will be having support from your professors and all the other supportive resources which you can take help of. So, what is that thing that stops you from doing, or what is that thing which you should be doing next? Right. So, the thing which you should be considering yourself about, I'll be dealing in the successive slides. I'll just brush you through the different cash flow quadrants before we eventually get there. Right. To understand what should be done next, we should be able to understand the size of population that is in each quadrant. 95% of the population are in the E and S quadrant, that is the employed and self-employed quadrants. Why is it so? And even if in this, if you take, uh, uh, trust me, there will be 93% of the population in E quadrant, because our basic priority has become security, because we are unaware of the resource we have access to. We are unaware of the kind of passion we actually have, and we are actually not even giving it a time to giving time to think about the kind of resource and the kind of passion which we are actually made of. And next in line, we have the self-employed one. So when it comes to the self-employed quadrant, you're actually aware of the uh, the kind of passion you have, but you are not completely aware of the kind of resource you have access to. It's like I wish to be a, cinematographer. So all you will be thinking about is you will be learning more about cinematography, but you will not be thinking about someone who can work for you in enhancing your cinematography expertise, and also you will not be able to think of something that will result from cinematography that will fetch you more money. So eventually, what happens is that 95% of the people, they remain in the E and S quadrants. Right. So in order to get eventually there, all we have to do is spend time for ourselves. Here I have mentioned change of mind. Like, change of mind happens while you spend time for yourself. All you have to do is you have to spend at least 5 minutes of your time on yourself, thinking of uh, what I'm really made of, like what really is my passion, what really is my hobby. The first step you would be taking is you will be thinking on what I'm doing right now, like what I'm supposed to be doing right now. You should be questioning yourself to uh, understand the real state of mind which you are in right now. So only when you are able to understand your real state of mind, you will be able to eventually get on changing your mind to get to reaching on becoming independent, becoming free. And once you are able to convince yourself, once you are clear about what you are up to, once you are clear about what you are made of, your passion, your interest, your hobbies, once you are done with that, you will now be clear about your goals. Once you set your goals, you will be able to convince yourself of what you are going to do next. So it's like, consider I'm planning on starting a restaurant. I should be having a clear understanding of how restaurants work to start off with. For instance, consider I'm starting a chompo shop, the fish shop in Malawi. Like I'll be having a clear cut idea of where I should get fish from, and who will be my real buyers, and like if at all they buy, how much money will I be making out of it, and who are my competitors, and if at all they are my competitors, how will I eventually have people work for me? Like, you will be having a lot of questions coming into you. So, and the advantage is that all your questions can actually be answered by yourself. If you don't find an answer, you have a lot of places to get your questions answered. And once you're done with that, once you are able to convince yourself with all by answering all your questions, you will be able to convince anyone with this request. Like, you will be able to convince your friends, your family, who you think are responsible or dependent on you. So It's like you will be able to change your state of mind, you will be able to change your mind, and you will be setting your own core values, you will be having your own set of principles, and you will be having your own set of goals, you will be having your own set of short term goals and long term goals, and you will be knowing what to do next to reach the goals one by one. You will be having a number of checkpoints to reach it one by one. So attitude, this is all about the mindset I was talking about, and your thought process, what I was talking about. Every time when it comes to thinking about yourself, there will be a number of things going on in your mind. You might think of failure, you might think of the way ahead, you might think of what you really have, but the priority is you have to get started towards thinking about yourself, and you are actually when you start thinking about yourself, you will be in the process of engineering your own attitude, and it is clearly unnecessary to think about your past. So people should be clear about this. When it comes to thinking about doing something, don't ponder over things that are pulling you back, that are like stimulating your fears, that are having so much of your time thinking about your past. All you have to think about is your present, that is the resource you have, and what you can do with your resource, and with what you have you can actually plan your future. So your primary focus should be your present. You should from day one you should be thinking about yourself, and the next in line you should start thinking about what is ahead of it, like what you can do with what you have, and you should actually be ready for the worst case. Like when you have the best in hand with you, when you are clear about the resource with you, you should actually be ready for the success. But before getting on to reach out to the success thing of the particular passion which is being pursued, you should actually be ready for the failure which is being pursued. And it's like when you are ready for the worst case, you will actually be ready for the best case. So by saying that, I mean, if you are able to plan on things of what it would be like if you are going to fail in something. Consider the fish shop I was talking about. Consider I'm setting up a fish shop and I'm failing at it. I would actually plan on going to a job that will actually fetch me money to meet out my basic needs again, or I might plan on working on. I might plan on working on something else which I can remain independent and still pursue my dream. Like I'll be having a clear cut plan on my failures. And when it comes to success, all you have to do is you have to be clear about the successive checkpoint that's in life. Like you have to be clear about what you have reached and what's ahead of you. Taking a pause is okay, but stopping at a success is not fine. Like you have to have your passion evolve. Like over a period of time, what people do is that they have a passion, they stick to it, they pursue it, and they reach a checkpoint where they think that this is the highest point of their passion. But the thing they miss out is that once you start pursuing your passion, it doesn't mean that you should stop spending time on yourself. You should spend actually longer on yourself. You should spend more time with yourself. You should be thinking of how like what keeps you going, what had you started, and how you're planning on getting ahead with that, and what your real goal is, and what is going to be your next checkpoint. So like it actually means you have to be consistent and you have to be moving towards a passion which keeps evolving and which actually remains very dynamic. Right. So for your life to change, like if you're planning on changing your life, the whole process which I was talking about, you have to change yourself. So it's like changing yourself. I mean, you have to have a clearer picture, like whatever I told you now. Spending time for yourself is your priority, and you have to set your goals clearly. You have to set your short-term and long-term goal clearly, and whenever you reach a short-term goal, you should be recollecting on what your long-term goal is. What and When you have a long-term goal, you have to like recollect it only at the point of reaching your short-term goal. Otherwise, you have to forget it. But because more often what people do is that they have their long-term goal in mind. Like they'll be dreaming over their long-term goal all the time. For instance, consider Tim Hoggins. What if Tim Hoggins kept wandering over green outdoor gyms without even working on what is really, without even working on getting to be there? Like he would have still worked as a programmer, or he would have still been a security. All he did was he started, like he said, his goal was to say his goal was to establish green outdoor gyms, and he was clear about his short-term goal. To in order to get to establishing green outdoor gyms, his right next step was becoming a security guard. And while he became a security guard, he actually wanted more money. So to get more money, he became a programmer. And while he became a programmer, he was clear that he wanted access to resource. So the way out was reaching out to their founders and CEOs, and that didn't work. He went on for a plan B, and all these would have been his short-term goal and checkpoints, which he kept towards establishing green outdoor gyms. And trust me, he is not done with his passion. His passion was evolved from establishing green outdoor gyms just in Africa to establishing green outdoor gyms across the world. And also this plan would be to evolve the idea which he has within green outdoor gyms itself. So the thing is that you have to spend time for yourself, set short-term goals, set long-term goals, forget your long-term goal, progressively and incrementally work on your short-term goals. And to change everything, you are the first point. Right. So when it comes to changing something, like all the things you should be considering, the factors that influences all what I talked about is environment. The basic thing is the environment, where you are. So that is a famous saying. Uh, to be popular, be connected with the popular people. To be rich, be connected with the rich people. So it's like it doesn't, the literal meaning doesn't come into account, but the real meaning of this statement is that in order to become rich, you have to have people who are wishing to be rich. If you're planning on becoming a tech entrepreneur, you should be connected with people who are working towards becoming a tech entrepreneur. If you are wishing to become a singer, if you are wishing to become an actor, you should be connected with people who are good at acting. And like what all advantages you will be having like when you are connected with that kind of people is that you will be actually filled with energy. You will actually be filled with the circumstances, the life style, the progress of the people who are having a similar track as yours. And progressively you should be networking with a lot of people, and that will become your environment. And automatically when you're befriending that kind of people, your environment will actually be friendly towards pursuing your passion. And next in line, unprofitable activities. uh, Whenever you do something, like you have 2 minutes of your time thinking if it is really worth doing. For instance, this doesn't mean that you shouldn't be having time for your friends, you shouldn't be going out, or you shouldn't be going on a fun trip. You shouldn't be going on a long trip. You shouldn't be trekking, or you shouldn't be spending time on family events. It's not like that. It's all about planning time. Like you should be planning time so well that you should be having time for everything. In a day, consider you should be having time for your friends, you should be having time for your passion, you should be having time for your academics, you should be having time for sleeping, and you should be having time for yourself. So like what most people do is that uh, they'll actually be making things complex. Like they'll not be spending time with friends. They'll be spending a lot of time on something is not going to work out. Like you will not, if you are going to spend a lot of time on your passion alone, then you will be unaware of friends. You will be unaware of the external environment. You will be unaware of the current affair. For instance, it just might happen that someone else is doing better than you in the particular idea which you are working on. So it is essential that you actually manage your time and establish an environment in which you are, establish an environment that favors your passion. And when you're going to manage your time, automatically you will be prioritizing things on the basis of its worth. Like if you think that spending time with someone is worth, you will be spending time with them. If you think that spending time on something is worth it, you will be spending time on it. For instance, consider my time frame. I'm actually working for a company parallelly, and I'm also pursuing my entrepreneurship. So my time frame is like I'll be spending 9 to 6 in a day, like 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. in a day for the company which I'm working at. Sorry. So 9 to 6, I'll be spending time at the company, and whatever I do, I ensure that I'm good at it. So at the company, I'm like to my knowledge, I'm doing a good job. And after 6, I take a break of half an hour. I spend time with my family, and I call up my friend. I talk about things. We talk about current affairs. We talk about politics, world economics. We talk about all of it. And from 6:30 to 8:30, I spend time on my business. Like I work, I take I get the updates from the people who are working for me. I actually set my own goals, and once I'm done with that, again it's family time. I spend half an hour of my time eating and chit chatting with my family, and once I'm done with that, I have time for me, like me and me alone. Like I'll be thinking of, am I really on the right path? Have I reached the short term goal which I've set? Am I really on time? Am I working towards the real passion which I'm focused on? So I'll be spending time for myself, and I'll be sleeping. Like my sleep hours are pretty good. I sleep like 8 hours a day. So getting here, before I got here, I used to have a lot of time on a particular thing, and it like although I could get results, but the kind of results I could get was not multidimensional, multilateral. The kind of results I could get was I was not able to befriend my friends. I couldn't spend time for them. So I was not aware of the environment that is with the friends. All I was aware of was the technology which I was working on, and eventually I got isolated for a period of 1 year. So this is not how you do it. Managing time is essential, and managing your environment is essential. And next in line, your habits. So, considering the above two heads, like environment and time, once you're very clear about your environment and you have systemized your environment so well, and once your time is all systemized so well, your habits will eventually fall in place. Like the practices you follow in your environment in the scheduled time becomes your habit. For instance, I'm habitual to spending 6:30 to 8:30 on my business, and I'm habitual to talking to my family. The 2 hours I spend with them, the 1 hour I spend with them, and I'm habitual to calling up my friends and talking about tech and talking about current affairs every half an hour every day. And like the practices I do in a systemized environment, in a systemized time frame, will eventually get me to habits, right? And next in line is knowledge base. So it's like informating yourself is very essential. So informating yourself is very essential. uh, Talking about informating yourself, the first step towards informating yourself is, if you have something in mind, for instance, it can be about your passion, or it can be about your career, or it can be about your job. You have to informate yourself. You should be knowing enough about what you're thinking about, in order to get ahead in that. For instance, if I'm thinking on eating outside, like if I'm planning on eating country cuisine, like if I'm planning on eating pasta, consider I'm planning on eating pasta. I'll actually start off with googling the best places for pasta in the particular city which I live in. So I'll be starting off with the best place for that, and the best kind of pasta that is available in the city, and I'll go out eat. Similarly, this is just a daily day habit, daily day thing. But when it comes to passion, you're putting something on risk. You're spending a lot of time on it. You're spending a lot of your resource on it. So all you have to do is informate yourself about what you're up to. Like if it is going to be a goal, or if it is going to be your daily day work, or if it is going to be your friends and their doings, whatever comes to your mind, you should be informating about that. And once you start informating yourself about it, trust me, you will have a huge knowledge base. And you might think like, all this while I'm talking so much about food, and I'm actually working on AI and like artificial intelligence. You might think that why is this guy talking so much about food? And trust me, I actually explore a lot about food. Uh, and eventually you will get to network between your passion and your knowledge base. Like the knowledge base you acquire over a period of time will support, will enable you, will empower you to actually catalyze your business. So we have an idea of working with AI and food tech now. So it might initially, like when I started off, I was like, why am I like exploring so much about food when my passion is AI? And now I'm pretty clear that food tech, AI has something to do with food tech. And similarly, all of you, you might explore things which you might think that this is not of use, or why do I spend time on this? But if it interests you, trust me, you have to spend time on that, pursuing your passion. At some point of time, you will be able to link both. The knowledge base which you have acquired, like you might have explored a lot about singing, and your interest might be in augmented reality, or your interest might be in programming something. You might come up with a tool for singing in the programming language which you're best at. So this is the kind of experiments which will eventually get you. So informating yourself, acquiring knowledge base, and exploring things in order to enhance your knowledge base is very much important. And scheduling productive time, I think I discussed all of it. Right. So next in line we have dreams and we have fears. So uh, like I said, the time you spend for yourself. So I think post this session, all you have to do is list down your dreams first. For instance, you might be dreaming of becoming a singer, or you might be dreaming of becoming a cook, a chef. But you will be like, why would I go ahead with cooking, or why would I go ahead with singing? I'm actually pursuing information technology, or I'm actually pursuing computer science, or I'm actually pursuing electronics and communication. Why would I list something on dreams which is not a part of my uh, academic expertise? So I'll give you my example. My expertise is geology, and my dream is solving problems, world class problems, world size problems. So what does geology have to do with what I'm doing now? As of now, I have a long term goal set in geology. It's not essential that you should be setting a long term goal in geology as well, as in your core subject as well. Like if you are pursuing biology, chemistry, computer science, it's not necessary that you should be setting a long term goal in that, but you can eventually link your dream and your academic expertise. So step one is to list down your dream, whatever it is. It's not like you should limit your dreams just to the academic expertise you have. You should be listing all your dreams. Like it can be anything and it can be everything. It can be watching movies. Like even watching movie can be a dream. Uh, all you have to do is list your dreams first, and right next to that you should be having your fears. The fears might be the ones which I was talking about, like I am in computer science, why singing? I am in computer science, why cooking? So these are the kind of fears. And the common fears which you will be getting is that, what if I don't succeed in that? What if I am not able to find a way through it to pursue that as my passion? For instance, if I am considering my dream to be singing, I might think like, will I be able to make money out of singing? Will I be able to establish a company with this particular dream of mine? Will I be able to have people work for me uh, just by my passion of singing? So to eventually get to these points, all you have to do is you have to list all these fears, and the next in line, all you have to do is you have to have an additional field of linking things. Like you have your dreams, you have your academic expertise, you have your resources, and last but not the least, you have your fears. Linking all the above things like dreams, your expertise, your resource, all these should be linked first. And trust me, you will be able to score out the fears one by one. You will be having very few fears at the end of the list in order to pursue your passion. So, step one, right after this session, all you have to do is list down all your dreams and link it with all the expertise and resource you have, and eventually link it with the fears, which actually will turn out to be nothing in front of the dreams, resource, and the expertise you have. Right. Once you're done with the above step, like once you're done with plotting ways to list out, like plotting, once you're clear about your dreams, you're by being clear about your dreams, you're clear about your passion, and like once you're clear about passion and dreams, you will be clear about next in line. You will be listing all the resource you have access to, uh, and additionally you will be having your technical expertise. It can be the subject of your concentration. Like once you have all these three, you have to look for something that will serve many. For instance, let's take the example of singing itself. Let's take the example of Tim Hoggins. Tim Hoggins, his basic dream was to establish a park. So initially, what he did was uh, he he found out the resource. His expertise was he could make out his expertise with regards to establishing a park, its infrastructure, its civil structure. So all these, and his basic expertise was networking people and getting money to do things. So this was his basic expertise. So he worked on it, and let's take an example of you. Consider you are having an interest in singing, and the resource you have in hand is technology. You have YouTube. You can sing and post videos on YouTube, and next is you have time, and next is you might have your friends who are good at creating music, who are good at composing, or who are good at editing, who are good at cinematographing. So next in line, what you will be doing is you will be networking with people, and you will be creating a system wherein you will be able to network with the others and work on a particular thing, that is your singing thing, that will be on YouTube. So once you're done with this, all you have to do is you have to look for people who will be interested in your particular content. Like, consider you are creating a singing song video, and once the song video is created, you will be like, in YouTube there are cases that the song video itself gets viral, like the song of the Zompa prison, the inmates and guards, which got shortlisted for the Grammy. There might be cases like that as well. In some case, you will be forced to market the particular content, where you might have friends who are working on marketing content digitally. So again, you will be networking people for that. And next in line, you will be setting short-term goals. Like, initially, you will be working on penetrating the particular video within Malawi itself, within Zambia itself. Like, you will be targeting people who will be interested in Malawi and Zambia alone. And next in line, you will be able to explore the possibilities of penetrating the particular content in places of Africa, like the different countries of Africa, Angola, Nigeria, Tanzania. Like, even those people might be interested in the particular music which you create. And once you're done with that, penetrating, serving many with regards to this particular content, next on you can all you can do is go on exploring the possibilities of penetrating the content in other countries, in other continents. So it's like, achieving greatness is not going to happen overnight, uh, unless and until it goes viral. That is a very rare case, and but uh, whenever greatness is achieved progressively, incrementally, trust me, it will remain with you for a longer period of time. So step one would be to spend time for yourself. Step two, spending time on people who you know, who you think can support you with your vision and passion. Step three, you should have a clear cut time frame and a clear cut system for containing these people and have them work on your particular passion and cause. And step four, you should be able to scale it step by step. Like, you should start geographically, you can scale it from Zambia, or from Malawi to the other countries of African continent. If you have a clear cut plan and strategy for the whole of the world at a time, you can penetrate at once itself. So eventually you can achieve greatness, and greatness is not the highest point. Greatness is again evolving, is again dynamic, is again incremental. Every time you reach a point, there is again a step ahead. You should be walking and you should be progressive till you reach your last. So achieving greatness, serving many, it all starts with you. You, your environment, your time, the people, and the resource is all what that will take you to greatness. Right. There is another way of approaching things. One thing is, you're passionate about something, you are pursuing your passion, and you are like penetrating the content amongst the people, and that is actually bringing a change. That is one way of doing it. There is another way of doing things. uh, it's like, it might simplify your daily day work, it might simplify your routine, it might save on your time, like uh, it might actually enhance other people's lives. uh, for instance, if we take the case of e-commerce, for instance, Amazon or Alibaba, for that example, if we take Amazon, it was a problem that, consider I am in Zompa, the capital of Malawi, but I want a particular commodity that is not in the particular city. It's in some other city, or it's in US. if I wish to buy it, I had no way of doing it. But uh, all they had was they could plot the problem. The basic problem was getting a particular thing which is elsewhere, which was of basic interest and which turned out to be essential for an individual. And this was the problem that was plotted. And next in line, he had to plot a solution for the problem. So the solution for the problem was getting things online. He should be having someone who is bringing the thing from the US to Malawi, and he should get it in hand. So the logistics came into picture, and after all this, like the solution was sorted. Next in line was the resource he had. So the resource he was having in hand when it came to the founder of Amazon, the richest in the world, Jeff Bezos, was he had access to a computer, he had access to money, and he had access to people. Again, it's the same set of resources which I was talking about. So all he did was he actually systemized things with regards to an environment and time. He had people work for him. He actually did set up a environment in which these people contributed to his passion of solving the particular problem, and eventually Amazon got in place. So one way of doing it is you have a passion. You're not going to give a thought about the problem which you're going to solve, but you think that this passion of yours, this content of yours, is able enough to reach people, and it gives them a feel like a feel good thing. And next, the second kind of thing is a problem which you will be plotting and solving the problem and the resource you have to deal with it, and eventually achieving greatness. So these are the two ways of achieving greatness, and two ways of approaching things, and the two ways of having your thought process go. And the attitude towards your passion can start from a problem, uh, or it can start from the passion to the problem. Right. So, like I said in the beginning, it all starts with you. So you is where it starts, and you is where it ends. This is a famous saying, and now you have set your dreams, you have set the resource you have, you have set the expertise you have, and you have scored out the fear that surrounds you. Now, when all this is done, you have to take the first step towards getting the first thing done. That is, for instance, in case of setting up a YouTube channel, all you have to do is create an account on Gmail, or create an account on Google, go on to create a YouTube channel. That's it. So that is the first step. And the step two would be to create a content, right? You will actually be working on a content with regards to a song, and like rather than but your long term goal would be to reach people across nations. Your long term goal would be to become an album singer across the world, but your step one would be to, if you're going to think about becoming like if you're only going to think about becoming that, and if you're not going to take your step in becoming that, then it's not going to make a difference. So whenever you are clear with everything, you should actually be able to you should actually set your mind to take your first step towards doing things. And once you get going, all you have to do is start. Once you get started, it will take you where you want to go. For instance, once you create the YouTube channel and once you have the first content posted, trust me, there will be positive or a negative comment. Either ways, if it is going to be a positive comment, you will be encouraged to do more videos. If it is going to be a negative content, negative comment, you will actually be getting better at the negative comment. For instance, consider a person who has commented saying that you have not say like your song was not that great. So what you will be doing is in the next video you will be working on getting the content better. So the thing you will be doing is that you will be taking a step towards your long-term goal. That will become your short-term goal. And once you're done with your done with taking a step towards your goal, the goal itself will carry you through. So I think it's the thing is going to be the same. You do not make money by dreaming alone. So that again, I'd like to find the word of forgetting the long term goal. Set a long term goal, forget it momentarily, pursue your short term goals, take your step one, stop dreaming about already having become an billionaire, but take your step towards becoming a billionaire. And everything starts from like multiple drops become an ocean. Like the famous saying, it all starts with 100 year. Like make sure that if it is again, I'm going with an example of a YouTube channel. Consider you have created a YouTube channel. Make sure that you have some people who's interested in your content, and once you're clear that they are interested in your content, you have to find similar people like them, or you have to find the content that interests maximum people. And you will be going step by step. Like once you're done with that, you will be working on becoming sorry, you will be working on networking people, and you will be involving your expertise, and you will be incorporating your resource into the particular passion which you are working on, 100er to 1000er. And consider in case if you are reaching out of Malawi, there are every possibility of you becoming a millionaire YouTuber. And once you have reached out to people within Africa, you will be scaling to elsewhere in the geography. That will give you every chance of becoming a billionaire. And even a trillion is not a far reach. Like you are still having every scope to becoming a trillionaire. And again, while going step by step in this process, everything is going to be incremental. While being a hundred-year, your passion might be different. While becoming a thousand-year, your passion might have evolved. Like initially, you would have started just for the sake of entertainment. Like you would have started a YouTube channel just in order to post your content. But once you think that you have people watching it, your passion has actually evolved. You will actually be evolving your passion with regards to the resource and the kind of response you get from the community. And eventually, you'll be becoming or getting to become a thousand-year. And once you have reached the people within your particular city, you will be going on to reach out to the people of the other cities of the country. Once that's done, you're going on becoming incrementally reaching out to the other geographies, and everything happens with the progress you give in your thoughts with regards to your passion, evolving the passion with regards to the resource that is going to evolve and remain dynamic, and the long-term goal which is going to evolve with time, and the short-term goals which you keep achieving. Uh, So I uh, I hope you had a good time, and I'm open for a Q&A. You can actually post in your comments, and I am so happy that I'm being given an opportunity by St. John the Baptist University and St. Eugene University of Malawi and Zambia for giving me this opportunity to get connected with the students of both the universities. And I also am open to getting connected with you people. Like if you are interested in technology, or if you are whatever your interest be, you can actually connect with me. Like I can share my contact with you to your college faculties, and I'm open for Q&A now. Thanks all. Thank you. Brilliant presentation, Vashan. Sure thing, I can share the PPT with you. Mary Nalvamba, your mindset has changed. That is good. Is there any question which you would like to post now? Like, I'm open for a Q&A.
Thank you so much, Mr. Tony, for your presentation. I'm really hoping that people give you more questions and you give them the answers that they need to hear. That was a very profound presentation. And we are really hoping that our viewers will view again tomorrow, the third day, as we have another presentation. So it will be the same time in the Malawian time. And we also hope that our friends near or far will also tune into this presentation. So we thank you very much for today, Mr. Tony.
Thank you all. Thank you.